The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Let me unpause the recording. So guys, welcome to Friday. Friday is the 22nd of 2021. We are live inside the Habit-Based Lifestyle and Business Secrets group, coming at you live with our weekly show. Caleb, welcome.
Yo, what's up, everybody?
All right, give me a little hashtag live. If you guys are watching live, give me a hashtag replay. If you're on the replay, we got a great episode coming on today, and we're going to talk about wasting time, distractions. Caleb, do you ever find yourself getting distracted?
All the time. I actually just started eliminating a lot of the distractions of my life recently over the past couple of weeks, but I realize how much I get distracted on my phone, social media, all the time, every day. And I have to consciously remind myself, like, stop getting distracted.
What? You distract yourself on social media?
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. Who does that?
How much time you think you distract yourself with per day on social media?
I think out of stuff that's not productive, there's an extra like 2 to 3 hours that I spend throughout the whole day that I could eliminate. Just like scrolling through content that I could stop doing, or constantly messaging people that I could slow down. And I know that because I use the time tracker on my phone. So I know my baseline non-distracted time that I look at my phone, and then I look at days where I'm like, wow, that's an extra 2 to 3 hours, you know?
For sure. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is, number one, a lot of our business is on Facebook, so it's easy to be like, well, I'm working.
Yeah.
But, here's the thing, man, is yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, dude, I feel like I've been in this virtual reality video game of like politics.
Yeah.
For the last like 10 months, whether it have to do with, COVID, or has to do with, who's going to be president, who's not going to be. But
dang, I'm glad someone else feels that way too. I was thinking it was just me.
No, dude, it's everybody.
Yeah.
So here's the thing is, as I'm sitting here saying this, I'm like, dude, how much time would you have back if, you would have actually like taken track of like how much time you're wasting on this? And, here's the thing, man, is like, no matter what's happening, like what has changed in your day-to-day life since then, since like 10 months ago, as far as like whoever was president, what has changed in your day-to-day life? For you and I, okay, like not much has changed, right? Maybe like you have to wear a mask, which, I don't agree with, and some of these other things. But at the end of the day, we've been able to pretty much live our life and operate our life, as normal. And so, as I sat and thought about this, we're having this conversation. I'm like, dude, I guarantee you I'm spending 3-4 hours a day just, following things on social media, kind of going down these rabbit holes. And I'm like, dude, I feel like, like I'm looking out of this field, and it's like this field that never ends, but there's all these like rabbit holes to go down, but they all lead to the same place. And it's like a distraction.
Yes.
It's distracting me from doing what I actually want to do. It's distracting me from actually building the business that I want to build. And so as I went through this, like you go through this too. So let's just say on average, last 10 months, every single day, I waste 3 hours. Okay. Whether it be on, searching politics and what's going on, or it be on social media, just scrolling. So let's say, I wasted 3 hours. I can promise you it's probably pretty close to that. Not every day, but a lot of days. And it's kind of gotten more some days and it's gotten less others. But let's just say an average of 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 21 hours a week, man.
That's almost a whole day that I've lost on just my phone.
Right. Every week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
I would also point out that before I actually checked my number, I used to think that I would waste like 1 hour or 30 minutes, right? It's always actually more than we think. And it's dramatically more than we think until you actually look at the numbers and it's never just like I'm wasting 30 minutes a day or an hour a day. It's a lot of times it's like 2 to 3 hours a day, sometimes 4 or 5 on the weekends, depending on the person.
Well, here's what I know. Okay. So I'm supposed to be living this habit-based lifestyle. And if I'm wasting 3 hours, I know the average person's going to probably be wasting like 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
The other side of this is a big part of our business is on social media. So even with that being said, we're still wasting 3-4 hours a day.
Yeah.
So 3 hours a day. So you kind of take the time you've been wasting, say it's 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. That's 21 hours every single week, almost a full day we lose every single week. Right.
Yeah.
If you looked at this as a work day, it's like 2 work days. If we're working 10-hour days, so 21 hours every month, we're spending 84 hours a month on, politics, on Facebook, on whatever, just social media, getting distracted. Okay. That is literally like three days and like 9 hours every month that we're losing. So, and then I sat down, I'm like, listen, how long has this shit been going on? And I'm like, COVID's been going on since March. So we're like 10 months into this. And dude, that's 840 hours.
Wow.
So think about 840 hours is the amount of time like I've wasted. That's minimum. Okay. And I'm being generous. I bet there might be a little bit more, but let's just say that I wanted to take a vacation. I'm sitting here like, dude, I don't have time. I don't have money. And then I'm like, man, what would have happened if I would have just bought back half of those hours and put that into my business?
Wow.
Put that into something that actually like mattered. Dude, that's 420 hours. Okay. Even that right there, that's 17 and a half days back of work that I could have gotten. That's 17 days back of being with my family. That's 17 days back of doing things to actually like grow my business. That's not hours, that's days.
Yeah.
So literally 10 months, I've wasted 35 days on social media and politics. That's being unproductive. That's not even the productive side of it.
Yeah. So guys, if you're listening to this right now, Jesse just did a lot of the math for
you. I did a ton of the math for you. Like we already figured it out.
So if you guys waste time on social media, which is everybody, I want you to drop it in the comments. Let us know how much time are you wasting on social media and where in your life can you redistribute that time, that wasted time, either into your family, into your health, into your spirituality, into your business. Where do you need to reallocate that time? Let us know. This is super important. Jesse just did the math. A lot of us have wasted about 81 days since last March, since all this crazy virtual reality politics have been going on.
35 days.
35 days. It's still a lot. So let us know. We want to be in this conversation with you. We're not just talking about ourselves. We're not just talking about you. We're talking about all of us.
Yeah. So if you guys if you're listening to this or tuning into this, one of the things that I did is I was like, man, how much unproductive time am I spending, whether it be on politics, social media, taking kind of an average every day, every single week, you can have on your phone. It'll give you a total number of hours that you're spending on your phone, whether it be for business or whether it be for, like I said, politics, wasting your time. You take that by, 7 days a week, and you start timesing that by 4. You start looking at, well, what is my year projection? You start realizing, man, could you imagine if every year I took a 35-day vacation, because that's how much time I bought back from being distracted. If you don't think time matters, if you're someone who uses the excuse, like, I'm too busy, I'm so busy, like, I don't have time, like, this is the number one way you can buy back time right here. And this is probably the number one excuse I get from entrepreneurs is, hey, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do these things. But when we really boil it down, like, I can find 3 hours a day to buy back. And I would say that for the most part, I usually don't get really distracted. I can multitask, I can do some of those things, but, like, literally, if I can buy back 2 to 3 hours a day, just about anybody can do that or more. And how much more effective would my business be? Would my family be? Would I be if, I eliminated those 3 hours every day and put it towards something that I actually wanted to create?
Yeah. Wow, that's huge. This is a great topic because I feel like, especially now where on our phones, we're constantly fighting for attention. Every business, every news outlet, every meme is fighting for your attention to constantly keep scrolling, right? And it's really easy to lose that time. But I think what I'm hearing you say is, what's great about it is we can buy back that time if we just realize how much we're wasting. If we didn't know that we were wasting time, we could just keep wasting time and throwing time into our phone. Whereas now, if you take a pause and you actually look at the hours or the hours and the minutes and the seconds that you're wasting every day online or on your phone doing nothing, right? You could be productive online, connecting with people, marketing online, but you can also be unproductive. And if we look at all those unproductive hours, we can really take a step back and see, okay, how can I shorten this time of distraction and put that elsewhere, right?
Right.
So,
I think the biggest thing is, is what I'm doing working or not working,
mhm.
in my life? Is it helping me get to where I want to go? Or is it keeping me from reaching the goals that I have in my life? And I'll be honest with you, man, like, it's not helping me. It's actually hurting me. It's hurting my productivity,
Mhm.
even though, sure, I mean, I could make an excuse, say, well, a lot of my business is here, but ultimately, how much time am I using to get distracted? If I have to use an excuse to justify why I'm on my phone, then I already know the answer, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, dude, you're wasting time. So, um, I want to ask a question. So we have some people on live, we have some people that'll probably be on the replay, but, like, how much time could you get back by eliminating politics and social media? And what do I mean by, I don't mean just social media altogether. I'm saying social media to where you're just scrolling to scroll. I know a lot of people do business on that, but, like, how much time could you buy back if you were doing this one thing? And like I said, for me, it's 840 hours over a year. We're talking about almost 1,000 hours of wasted time.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be hard to differentiate like what's productive and what's not productive. And I've actually had to look at this in my own life, especially since I'm like I'm a young adult growing up in this age where I've grown up with social media ever since I was in middle school, right? And I've really had to look at what is the difference between productive and non-productive time on social media. I think I could say it annoys me when I'm with people, with other people, and I'm not at work on a weekend, and I have a nice weekend. I live in Southern California. It's beautiful outside. And I pull out my phone and I just start scrolling for no reason. And instead of looking at the trees, looking at connecting with the people around me, I know for sure that's wasted time, right? But it
Right.
could be kind of difficult for people maybe on a Monday through Friday where maybe they're online for work, and they find themselves going back and forth between being distracted and being at work. That line isn't as easy to see a lot of the times. Um, so what I've done, and you feel free to give me feedback on this or anything like that. But what I've started doing is giving myself specific time blocks to actually check my phone after I do a session of work. After I complete this section of work, I actually allow myself to go on my phone, reply to any messages, personal messages, and then I get back into it. Whereas normally I could just sit there and just be scrolling and scrolling, you know what I mean? And then not snap out of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, are we using it for a benefit to, maybe add value to what we're doing? So like right now we're on social media, it's counting against us, but like we're giving value, we're giving something to add value, not only to ourselves, but to someone else. So like
Hmm.
to me, I'm not mindlessly getting on there and scrolling, but if I'm, looking at what happened inside of politics to, what like, what's going to happen next and just kind of going down these rabbit holes right and left,
Hmm.
um, just getting caught up in that, like that's just not productive. And then all of a sudden, if the first thing you do every single day is turn on your phone, turn on Facebook, like you are literally taking your energy and you're putting it into your phone. You've just now lost power in yourself. And so that is affecting you. That is getting you distracted. And so I would say this, like you measure it by being distracted. How do you know if you're distracted? Well, all of a sudden you look at the clock, 30 minutes and hours went by and you still haven't done anything. And you're like, oh shit, like I'm just sitting here scrolling
Yeah.
and I haven't done anything. And then I'm like, oh, I got to get back to work. And all of a sudden, half your days went by and you haven't done half of your work.
Yeah. Here's what Josh Pepping said. Josh Pepping is live. He said he went through social media and unfollowed everything that hasn't helped him learn and grow. And doing that, he's actually saved about an hour and a half a day by cutting out crap social media and avoiding news and politics for a year. Um, yeah, Josh Pepping, I did that too. I had to stop listening to the news after a couple months because I was just spending so much time going down news rabbit holes. What's next? What's going to happen to the country? I stopped listening to news, cut off all the news, and I realized that I started becoming way lighter. I was like, wow, it's crazy how little these politics are affecting my day-to-day life when I actually don't look at it on my phone. So
Right.
that's awesome, Josh. Thanks for sharing. Um,
Yes, we
Ben,
have we have Ed Downs on.
yeah,
We got Ben. I cut watching politics to zero. So just so you know, like I'm not really the person who's gonna watch politics on, mainstream news.
yeah.
I'm more of, gonna look at other things. The problem with that is like you could just go down the same rabbit hole,
Mhm,
and it still ends up in the same place. Like what did you get out of it? How did it improve your life? How did it improve your lifestyle? How did it improve your family? How did it improve
mhm.
your business? And so once you start kind of like asking yourself those questions, like, hey, how did this help you grow as a person? You realize that like most of the time what impacts us on a day-to-day level in our business is not who's president. It's well, I mean, not who's president of the United States. It's usually president of our business, which is
Mhm,
like, okay, like there's three types of businesses, right? There's your business, there's my business, and then there's God's business.
mm,
And the only business that we can control is our business. And so it's, what I've found is, 2020 is the year we got into everyone else's business. and got distracted and tried to control that. And that's not the business that we are in charge of.
Yeah. So Jesse, for all the people watching, what are some habits that we can employ in our own lives day to day and on the weekends to buy back our time, to win back our time, and stop getting distracted? Eliminate the distractions and put that elsewhere. What are some habits that we can do to do that?
Well, number one thing is if like for me, what I did is I went through my Instagram. I unfollowed every political thing on my
Uh-huh.
Instagram because I found myself going there to
Yeah.
check on like, politics, and then also on Facebook, anything political on either side, I've just unfollowed, blocked.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that'll take care of that. And then also checking in with my timer every week.
Hmm.
And my goal is to try to keep myself off of my phone for under 4 hours a day.
Hmm.
Because I realize like I do a lot of work on my phone. But I know that anything over that is usually just distractions. And then what we're going to go through today is I wanted to go through some unconventional habits to keep us grounded. The other thing is this, not getting on your phone for the first, 1 hour a day, I find cuts down on me getting distracted throughout the day.
Huge.
Yeah. So those are some big things, man. And I really, my goal over the next 30 days is to buy back 2 hours every single day.
Yeah.
And I know I'll do that just by cutting out the political stuff.
Yeah, that's a great one. Let's get into some other people's Quad Housekeeper. That's an awesome name. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he says that he's moved Facebook and social media to the last page on his phone, helps him cut down his notifications from popping up. That's awesome. Unless he wants to see live videos like this. Glad you're here, brother. Ed Downs said he stopped bringing his phone into the bedroom. It stays downstairs at night. That's a great one. A lot of people, especially with girlfriends, wives, or something, they'll sleep with their phone more than they'll sleep with their partner. That's a big one, right? And that's a great tip. I think if you guys are watching right now, let us know, how much time are you wasting on your phone every single day? Jesse and I exposed ourselves at least 3 to 4 hours, sometimes 2 to 4 hours we're wasting every day. Jesse just said that he actually eliminates his distractions by eliminating the distractions in the morning. He won't check his phone in the morning. And then afterwards, he's way less distracted throughout the day. So comment, we would love to hear, how much time are you guys wasting? Where can you put that extra time that you're wasting on social media and politics? And then what are you actively doing, or what can you start doing to start winning back that time and start getting in the habit of getting less distracted?
Here's the other thing that I know is most people struggle eliminating. So like I'm eliminating a habit. If I don't put a new habit in, guess what's going to happen?
You're going to go back to the old habit?
I'm just going to start scrolling on something else other than politics. So
Yeah.
like putting things in place. So say that when I have this urge to be like, okay, I want to go check on this, and this, even just being able to do like 15, 20 push-ups kind of pulls me out of that place. And that allows me to no longer be distracted. Right. And then I can do my push-ups. I can get right back into work and what I was doing. And so, if you're watching this, like it's really hard to eliminate habits, whether they habits that don't serve you. It's really hard to eliminate them. And I asked a question the other day. I was like, hey, looking to quit coffee, and I wanted to see what people would say because I've quit before. Most people said to replace something with something else. Some people said, well, quit cold turkey, but like quitting cold turkey doesn't work long term. And here's the thing is quitting cold turkey will never work long term. You have to replace that habit with something new. So imagine a habit is like digging out this giant hole, right?
Yeah.
If we can't just leave the hole empty, because what's going to happen is we're going to be walking and all of a sudden fall back into the hole and be like, man, how the hell did I get back here? Well, I never refilled the hole with this new habit. So I always think of habits that don't serve me are like giant holes in the ground, right?
Mm,
Whether we're driving a car or whether we're walking, eventually we're just going to fall back into them if we don't fill them up with a new habit that serves us and gives us what we want. And so that's how I always think of habits. Like the habits you don't want or you want to eliminate are giant holes. The ones that we do want that serve us, fill those holes in. And so if we want to stop a habit, we have to fill it back in with a new habit that gives us what we want.
yeah. And I think that's why it's so important, not only to cut down the distractions, but to replace it and reallocate that time somewhere else. That's intentional, where we want to actually put it. For me, I know I'm only on social media to connect with other people, stay connected to my friends, talk and grow and learn, push people on social media to constantly be a better version of themselves. And I know I'm not doing that when I'm just scrolling mindlessly, thinking about politics or how I'm not looking like this person or how I'm not performing like this person. I really have to take away that scrolling time and changing into maybe I just need to reallocate that time and call somebody once a day instead after my work day where I have extra time. I call somebody instead of just sitting there alone, just scrolling. So
Right.
that's one way I choose to reallocate my time is by connecting with people. But if,
Sure.
like you said, if we don't, we can just fall back into that hole.
Yeah, here's the other thing I've found is the number one way to stop a habit is to, obviously pick a new habit, but the new habit has to be something that changes your current state. Okay. Which means, so I have, say that I'm addicted to, this is how I quit chewing tobacco that I'd done for like 26 years. Um, you know, I, I chewed for 26 years, started when I was like 14, and I got to the point where I was like a can a day. Um, and one of the ways that I quit was by changing the state that I was in. And so, you get a craving to, maybe it's to check your phone, you get a craving to take a chew.
Uh-huh.
Uh, in order to change that, we have to change the current state we're in. So sometimes calling someone doesn't necessarily change our state, right? It changes
Yeah.
what we're doing, but it doesn't necessarily change our state. And so it's not really a way that we're going to change what we're doing or change our behavior or pattern. You have to change the energy. The energy is we have to physically move to create energy. And the only way to really do that is by doing what?
Something new.
Exercise, right? And
Yeah.
so so imagine like yelling. Does that change your state if you yell?
Yes.
Yeah, so it changes your energy, right? Because it like gets everything up. Does jumping around change your energy? Yes. Does doing push-ups? And so I found that the number one way that you can eliminate habits, whether it's drinking, chewing, scrolling on social media, is by doing exercise, something, whether it's just moving around, because that changes our current state that we're in. The current state we're in is a stress signal that says, I have to feed this stress. Okay. Whether it's chew, alcohol, some people are smoking drugs, some people masturbate,
Uh-huh.
some people, whatever. And so what it is it's a state change that we're getting addicted to. And I have to be able to feed that with something that gives me the result I want, which, if you think about exercise gives us the results that we want, regardless, of what it is. Typically, it's going to change our state and it's going to change where we're at. And that's the whole thing with a habit is really understanding what it takes to change a habit, is really understanding what it takes to change your state and change your energy, which exercise is the number one way you can do that.
That's a great tip. So if you guys are listening to this right now, what did you just hear Jesse say about changing habits, and how can you implement that in your life? What do you need to do? Simple state changes. That yelling? Is that doing some push-ups? What habit? What can you do to eliminate those bad habits with what Jesse just said? We'd love to hear it. Ben Kaiser commented that he intentionally leaves his phone off several hours on the weekend, especially when he's not when he's with family. He said, "I'm not the president, and if someone needs me, they can wait."
Well,
That's awesome.
technically you are the president, just not of the US. You're the president of your home and your business and your taco trucks. Come on, man.
I think that's what he meant. He's not the president of the United States.
Yeah.
This is actually something I was thinking about. I like responding to people in a timely manner because I like being there for people. I like being reliable. But what I started realizing was the more people I knew, the more messages I got, and I realized I'm like, I can't be there for everybody all the time. And I asked myself, and I did this. I'm like, what if I didn't respond right away to everybody? Newsflash, no one cares. No one, it didn't really affect anybody. Whether I responded an hour later, a day later, it doesn't matter. I can keep the conversation going through text message whenever. I could reply a week later, and it would still mean the same to them a lot of the times. So Ben, that's a great one.
So guys, as we, today, as we kind of segue into, I'm going to talk about some unconventional habits that we can do on a day-to-day basis to keep us grounded, specifically 3. And this kind of is the perfect time to segue into that. Number 1 is to move throughout the day as much as possible. So a great way to do that is if you're trying to, eliminate some of your social media. I actually think some social media is good. Like, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad or good. I think it's like, okay, is this getting me what I want? Is this getting me closer to what I want in my life? If you're using it for work and you find yourself getting clients on there, like, I don't think it's an issue, but if it gets in the way of getting you what you want, then it becomes an issue. And so I try not to look at things as good or bad. I try to look at things as like, hey, is this getting me closer to what I want or further away? And that's where I have to step in, kind of like I did with a buddy of mine yesterday. As we're talking, I'm like, dude, we could easily buy back 3 hours. And so I'm going to start doing that every single day. But one of the ways that we do that is we begin moving throughout the day as much as possible. So that means that, hey, if you're in front of a computer, I like to think of this as like work intervals. If you're in front of a computer for every 30 minutes, you need to go move around for 5 at the end of that, because it's easy to get plugged back into getting distracted. That's typically when we get distracted. It's like, oh my gosh, I just got off a coaching call. I deserve, 10, 15 minutes on my phone just scrolling. And so instead of that, maybe go outside, go for a walk, drop down, do some push-ups, even moving of like doing some stretching or something like that, to where it's like, man, I'm moving around my energy. I'm kind of getting recharged. And so as we go through these habits today, yes, there's moving throughout the day as much as possible. I'm not talking about, doing a workout. I'm talking about moving around throughout the day, because movement creates energy, and that energy creates a state change. So one thing I noticed with social media is if you're on this a lot, you can get stuck in fight or flight, which means we're constantly reacting. I see me get stuck in this pattern with my kids. Is they're like, Dad, can I do this? Can I do that? And I'm like, no, you can't do that. and then I'm like, man, like, I'm on social media, and no wonder I'm like yelling at him. It's kind of like my son playing video games and me like telling him to get off, and he's all of a sudden emotional. Like, your screen on your phone, on your computer, on your TV is putting you in a state of fight or flight. Like, that's what the society we live in today is putting us in this place of fight or flight. And by doing this, it's having us live in this reactionary place, which means that we're going to react to life rather than, kind of let life happen in front of us. And we're kind of watching it as the observer, and then stepping into it when we feel like it. And so being on social media, being on a computer, being in front of a screen all day long, being on a phone, being on your TV, these things have us live in kind of this animal part of our brain. The problem with that is we as humans, sometimes we don't shut that off. And so movement is a way for us to kind of shut that down.
So, guys, just to recap, we're going over 3 unconventional habits that you may not know about to keep you grounded and to shift your state, right? So, number 1, Jesse just talked about move throughout the day. If you're working and you have a long stretch of work, maybe every 30 minutes, every 30, 35, 45 minutes, move around, go for a little walk outside of your building, right? Jesse, what is another unconventional habit that a lot of people may not know about that can keep us grounded?
So up to 10 a.m. every day, expose yourself to as much sunlight as possible. So what does that mean? That means like getting as much of your skin on your body exposed to sunlight. So obviously we live in Southern California, so that means like taking our shirt off. The cool thing is you'll never get burned before 10 a.m. no matter how hot it is, no matter how much of your skin is exposed to the sun. And so trying to get exposed as much as possible. If you don't have that, you have red lights you can use, which are like Juve light, near and far infrared. But that helps heal the body. It helps strengthen your bones, and it helps produce testosterone, and also gives you an improved mood. Of course, you can do it throughout the day. So if you have a tendency to want to wear a hat, take your hat off for like 30 minutes, make sure it gets exposed to sunlight. If you live in areas where there's not a lot of sunlight, obviously, you have vitamin D, stuff like that you can take as a supplement, but this thing actually helps improve your mood. Also helps you, produce more testosterone. So this is a huge thing.
Yeah, this is definitely the number one reason why Jesse and I work out with our shirts off, for sure. It's definitely not because we want to look at ourselves more. It's for that sunlight exposure.
Well, we can do both.
Yeah. So guys, if you're listening, the second unconventional habit, expose yourself to sunlight before 10 a.m. Maybe take a walk, get as much sun on your skin as possible. And that will help your body strengthen your bones, increase testosterone, improve your mood. It'll really help your biochemical process, right?
That's right.
Jesse, the last unconventional habit that people could do to continue staying grounded so we're not in this fight or flight mode after scrolling through social media and being online all day. What's the last habit that we can start doing?
So making an effort to walk in nature barefoot. Okay.
Wow.
So a lot of these, I mean, technically we could go for a walk, we could have our shirt off, and we could have our shoes off. We could be walking in nature barefoot, and we're kind of hitting all 3 of these.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know for people, if they live in a place that allows them to do that, like we do, that's super easy. But some people may be like, well, what if that's not possible? What if I live where it's snowing? Things like that. Try getting into a natural body of water. So like ocean is the best. Lake or river would kind of be second best. A pool, and then you go bath, shower. So all of these things help you basically ground yourself, because we're grounding ourselves to the earth. The problem with screens is they're taking us away from the natural things of life. So we're no longer grounded when we're on screens all day long. We're looking at social media. We're not grounded anymore. And so the way we ground ourselves is through natural things in the environment, such as, grass, dirt, water, even fire can help ground us.
Wow.
But even that, if you're in a cold area, like, we used to live in Washington. I will tell you this: if you're in a cold area with water, try to go get in a natural body of water, even if it's for a minute to 2 minutes. If you can't do that, then, go into a pool. If you can't do that, then go into a bath. If you can't do that, then shower. But all of these things kind of help ground us. If you ever notice when you take a shower, you always get out, and typically when you get out of a shower, you feel better. It's because it's grounding us. If you do hot and cold showers, It also helps, ground us. It helps our energy. But there, water and natural things in the environment help us balance our electro, negativity. So
Mm,
this is something that's actually going to help with, the electronic. We produce electricity in our body, but natural things in the environment help ground us in that. So imagine if we have this electrical thing all day long, this is actually pulling electricity into it, Wi-Fi signal, things like that. And so that's disrupting our own electromagnetic field.
mm.
So ways that we counterbalance that is to get into the environment. I think my favorite way, honestly, to do this is to get in the ocean, surfing. Dude, this is like, it's like meditation. And you can totally feel it when you get out. I know you just did it a couple weeks ago, but that's one of my favorite parts about surfing.
Yeah, I went surfing for the first time this past weekend, and I felt amazing. After I went in the morning before 10, and wow, I can't tell you the difference that weekend was for me. Starting off my Saturday with a surfing session versus starting off my Saturday with a TV show binge watching session. Way different. It's super different.
For
Um,
sure.
yeah. So, guys, the another unconventional habit that you can do to stay grounded is to put yourself in nature. Jesse said to take off your socks, take off your shoes, and walk around, walk barefoot. If you can't do that, try get into somewhere like a natural body of water. Get into nature that will help ground us from our digital life that takes away our electro negativity, right? Um,
That's right.
I I love taking walks, but one thing I haven't done is actually walked barefoot. So I'm gonna try that this weekend and and
So think
definitely stay
about
grounded.
like when you get outside and even if you just took a hike in nature, think about how different you feel. Or, you go get in the ocean, or, you just take your shoes and socks off and you do like some breath work, you feel different versus, always just by being out in nature, you feel different uh, than you do by constantly being plugged into some type of electronic device.
Agreed. So, guys, after we went through these three unconventional habits, let us know what is your favorite thing to do to disconnect from the digital social media world, from our phones, from your computers, and actually to get into nature. What's your favorite thing to do to stay grounded in nature in the world around us? As well as what is your favorite unconventional thing that Jesse just talked about? What did you get the most out of those top three habits? Which one do you want to try? Which one spoke to you the most? We want to know what you took out of these three unconventional habits that you can do to stay grounded in nature. We want to hear your feedback.
And number one, like this whole show started with, talking about distractions.
Hmm.
And so a lot of it's like, okay, how do we stop getting distracted? Well, we have to start implementing things that kind of cut down on that part of our brain.
Hmm.
And so we have to start getting back into nature. We have to start getting back and doing these things early on in the day sets the tone for the rest of the day. And so these are three great habits that you can really do living anywhere. I get it. Like if you live in a cold area, like you're going to have to get creative. But again, it can be done. So just make sure that you're using these. Also, I wanted to say, if you're watching a replay, like what are you getting out of this? But also I wanted to let everybody know that I did have a little challenge yesterday. And Josh Pepping actually won the challenge. So we're going to send him a free Habit Life sweatshirt. These are our new hoodies. They are not for sale right now. We're just giving these away, but you got to earn it. And Josh actually earned his. So I just want to thank him for being a part of the show and participating.
Awesome, Josh. Yeah, so let me recap what we talked about. But before I recap, guys, if you guys want some awesome HBL merch, join us next week, next Wednesday, next Friday at 9:30 a.m. PST. We'll be doing hat giveaways, shirt giveaways, and hoodie giveaways on those days. So you guys can also just imprint habit lifestyle and habit life on you. Wear it around so you can constantly remind yourself to keep up your habits, keep up the great habits that you're constantly working on every single day. But for anybody watching the replay, watching live, guys, we talked about distractions. We talked about social media distractions early in this show. We talked about how much we get distracted, quantifiably how much we get distracted. For me and Jesse, it's like 2 to 4 hours a day we can get distracted, and that takes away 21 hours a week, right? 84 hours a month. 840 hours over the past 10 months is how much time we're actually wasting, and we can buy that time back just simply by acknowledging the fact that we're wasting time and doing something different to break the habit of distracting ourselves, right?
That's right.
And then after that, we talked about 3 unconventional habits that you may not know about to keep us grounded with the earth that we are given, right? This digital world that we're all learning to live with now is taking away a lot of stuff that we may not know about in our bodies and our minds. And 3 things that you guys can do to stay grounded in your own life. You guys can move throughout the day, break up your workday into chunks, and move around, right? You guys expose yourself to sunlight. Before 10 a.m., expose yourself to as much sunlight. Maybe take off your shirt, take off your hat, and get yourself out in the sun more than usual, right? And the last one that we could do is actually make an effort to take a walk in nature, and take off our shoes and socks and go barefoot. Take a walk barefoot. Go into a body of water with your swim trunks or your beach outfit, right? And soak up that sun and stay in nature to help balance our lives. Anything else, man? Jesse?
I think that's it for today. So next week we're going to be talking about, obviously on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about business habits. And then Friday we'll be back again with more lifestyle habits that you can begin to implement into your life. I think the biggest thing right now, if you're listening in, drop a hashtag live, drop a hashtag replay if you're on the replay. But let us know some of the things you'd like to see inside the Habit-Based Lifestyle Show. And that's it for this week.
Awesome. Sweet. Everybody, you guys have a great weekend.
All right. Take care.
Peace.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing.